Hello, my sunrise. This will be chapter 11 of It's a Small World by emphasis on Ghostwriter. Quirk assessment test. I hope you enjoy. And let's get into this. As always, wait, before I do that, link is always in the description. I keep on forgetting to say it, but the link is in the description. Okay, people. Let's get into this. The purple boy introduced himself as Shinso once he and Izuku made it to the training field where Aizawa was waiting next to a rack of tennis balls. Subconsciously ignoring them with a blank, tired face. They'd been leaving the changing rooms as the other boys started filling in, but hopefully the rest would catch up. Shinto looked almost as tired as with the Gucci eye bags the kid was sporting. 3 sleep-deprived peas in a pod they were. Shinto snorted at that, causing Izuku to flush scarlet. Green, uh, oh, Green furred ears twitched in embarrassment. Izuku was too busy looking away to notice either Shinso glancing at him directly for a second, or Aizawa looking over with amusement. Cursing his muttering habit, Izuku never really had a problem before because he usually either was by himself or had a helmet on. Neither of them apparently keen on talking. Both boys stood in contemplated silence until the rest of the class showed up. At least 10 full minutes later, Izuku was already cringing inside from the words he knew their sensei was going to have on the subject. It took you almost 15 minutes to get here. Again, that is unacceptable amount of time. Civilians will die if you spend time dilly-dallying while getting ready in an emergency. I expect each of you to do better. From now on, you have 5 minutes to get changed into the training field. Am I understood? Yes, sensei, the class chorused. Excellent. Now most of you have done a physical assignment in your gym classes in school. We're going to do another one today using quirks so I can get a sense of where you are with your skill set. But what about orientation? Uraka asked, confused. This is going to be so much fun, Mina cheered at the same time. Izuku had to fight the urge to facepalm at that. Shinto looked pained. As for orientation, Aizawa's voice cut through the general excited chatter. Teachers at UA have a lot more freedom when it comes to what they do with their classes, especially the hero course. And I only have 3 years to get you all ready to go to go into the world as fully qualified pro heroes. You don't have the time for things like orientation. As for fun, Aizawa's bored expression morphed into one of his tamer, scary grins, though the rest of the class, who were far less used to them Izuku was look them than Izuku was, looked like they were about to pee their pants. Being a hero isn't fun. If you're having fun, then let's make this a game. The person who comes in last today will get expelled. What? No, that's not fair. That's not fair. And neither is hero work, as I pointed out. Natural disasters and collapsing buildings aren't fair. Neither are villains rampaging or people getting hurt on your watch. I am not going to pass heroes who can't do their job and get people killed. It may be harsh, but if I don't think you're up to it, you're not being in this course. As I let out an exhausted sigh. Now I have things to do, so let's get the show on the road. With that, he called Yaoyorozu to the front and had her throw the ball as far as she could using her quirk. The class watched in shock and amazement as she pulled a bazooka out of her body to do so. After that, they were back to being fired up again. running through the assessments with determination and excitement. Izuku ended up pulling into a group with Ashido and Monoma, and it wasn't bad. Izuku found himself warming up to them quickly, since Monoma was just as much as a sadistic little shit as Izuku was, and Ashido's energy was infectious. They also didn't say anything about Izuku not visibly using a quirk. He wasn't sure uh, if either of them noticed or just had more track. It was probably helped that he wasn't the only one not using a visible quirk. Jinso wasn't either, and it seemed he and Monoma had a minimum a passing acquaintance. Shinso also found himself pulled into the group when Monoma asked him something when he was standing a bit too close to them. Plus, they seemed generally genuine, though when they oohed and awed, Izuku backing beckoning backwards to touch his toes. Maybe Izuku bending backwards to touch his toes. Maybe he was showing off a little at that point, but everyone else got to show off their quirk. So what quirks? So it was all fair in the end, right? He also wasn't doing bad at all. It was clear that some of his classmates hadn't expected training and conditioning all the way he had. Shinso Yaoyorozu and the bi hair colored hair colored haired boy named Todoroki, Ida, the yelling kid from the exam, and T- the boy with a tail named Odro all had. And Izuku had learned that Monoma and Ashido had been in the same dance class for years. A lot of their classmates though were struggling in the place where they couldn't use where their quirks couldn't assist them. And the quirks themselves, Izuku was almost beside himself in excitement. Monoma's copy quirk was fascinating, and Izuku had so many questions he wanted to ask. He also noticed how Kaminari was shooting himself out and that he couldn't be good for the boy. Plus, he'd accidentally brushed against Todoroki's warm side at one point, and there was no way the kid was warm without having some sort of fire aspect to his quirk. But he wasn't using it, and Tokiyama's quirk, Dark Shadow, was sentient and very nice. If mildly obsessed, already wanting to pet Izuku's ears, poor Tokiyami had been mortified. Izuku's fingers itched for his notebook. He was also pretty sure Aizawa had caught one of his ramblings of the raised eyebrow. If the raised eyebrow was any indication, it was. Soon enough, they were back to where they started with the ball throw, and he eventually got to see Shinzo's quirk when he had Uraraka use her quirk on his ball, and Izuku was back to having so many questions. That quirk was going to be so versatile and for heroics. He wasn't shocked, though, that when some of his classmates, Sato, especially, called Shinzo a villain to his face, he was shocked. Well, not really, but kinda. Then Aizawa immediately and aggressively shut them down with no in no uncertain terms. He wasn't shocked because it was Aizawa. The man was never ever going to let that sort fly. Izuku knew this. He had known the man for years, but it was still shocking to see the teacher shut down discrimination for the first time. He didn't have time to think about that, though. because it was finally his turn to throw the ball. Izuku weighed his options before he stepped into the circle, just in case. Unlike the other test of the day, where everyone had mostly di- distracted, was mostly distracted doing their own thing, all eyes were on him this time. The ball was a decent weight, and his arm strength wasn't something to scoff at necessarily, but he wanted to put on a better show than that right now. With all the parkour he did with Aizawa that night, including his ability to run up walls, his leg strength was stronger. He was just he w- and it wasn't like been he'd been the only one who'd kicked the ball, Ida. So yeah, that'd work better. Mind made up, Izuku stepped into the circle, tossed the ball straight up into the air, and then swung around in a roundhouse kick to launch it, flying further than Izuku ever could by hand. Overall pleased with himself, Izuku walked back over to the spot with the other students. Monoma, now next to him, gave him an amused smirk, and Shinzo watched him aspire, aspiration, aspiraling. Izuku noted it, but Shinzo didn't seem malice, so Izuku decided to keep an eye on it. The boy didn't give off the vibe Izuku's previous bullies had. But he wasn't but it was better to be safe than sorry. Soon enough, Aizawa was pulling up the results of the assignment, and Izuku found himself near the middle top, just behind those with powerhouse quirks. Not too shabby. Last place was Hagakure, the invisible girl, on the disembodied sobbing. Based on the disembodied sobbing. One more thing. Aizawa's lazy drawl calling out. Creepy grin from earlier falling back in place. No one, no one, no one's getting expelled. It was a logical ruse to make sure you tried your best. The most logical places you start the most logical place to start is to know your maximum and go beyond, plus ultra, and all that. Out of the corner of his eye, Izuku saw Shinso huff and roll his eyes. It wasn't the first time he'd given Aizawa a similar reaction. Maybe they knew each other somehow. As antisocial as the man was, Izuku could normally be more tempted to discount the idea. But he known Aizawa for years himself, so nothing was impossible. So anything was possible. When you get changed, you're dismissed. Their sensei continued. But head back to the classroom. You'll find your schedules and orientation materials on your desk. With that, the grumpy hero turned and walked away, leaving the class to stare at him in shock. He was joking the entire time? Someone exclaimed. I thought it was obvious. Yeah, Yaoyorozu questioned. Shinso and Izuku met each other's eyes, as I hadn't been joking, at least not the first time. Also, add another point to the Shinso knows Aizawa board. Izuku, Shinso. Monoma pulled him from his thoughts this time, as Izuku was about to leave to the changing rooms. He should really stop getting so lost in them. Or just more sleep. One of the two. Mina and I are going to a cafe nearby. Either of you want to join us? That depends on if it's the cat one or not, Shinso replied. Monoma raised his eyebrow. Of course it is. Where else would we go? I guess I could go, Shinso smirked, for the cats. Of course, Monoma agreed, with a serious nod. For the cats. How about you, Izuku? He pulled at his fingers, one of his nervous habits he couldn't seem to break. I actually have a meeting with Principal Nezu. At that, a handful of the closest boys turned to look at him. A what? You already have. How do you already have a meeting with Nezu? It's not. It's nothing bad. Izuku rushed to explain, hands waving wildly. I'm kind of ahead in high school classes, and he wanted to make sure I'm learning material that will actually challenge me. So he wanted me to take some Apple a tillable test after the QAT since Isaiah always dismisses his class early. Also, I'm maybe his personal student. He said that last part in a low mutter. His Shinso and Monoma heard it all. If the former's widened eyes and latter's eyebrows, all the disappearance into their hairline were any indication. He knew he'd get out eventually. Especially since the part of he and Nezu had discussed in their meeting was Yuki spending some of their core classes with Nezu in the principal's office or occasionally with the other teacher for some one-on-one for one-on-one lessons based on Nezu's meeting schedule and what other teachers were free. Although the principal still want Isuku to at least sit in a few core classes with his classmates, something about learning how to socialize with people his age. Damn, Monoma finally capitulated. You go, but we're exchanging phone numbers. Mina will skin me alive if I don't at least do that. What? Izuku blinked at him. Monoma sighed. She's one of those extroverts that likes to adopt people. I'm her first victim, and we both think you're pretty cool, I guess. Shinso, you too. We might not know each other that well, but I know exactly how your sense of humor works. We're not getting out of this, are we? Shinso finally asked. Not unless you think you can out stubborn Mina. Ugh, fine. With that, the three exchanged numbers. By the time Izuku got to Principal Nezu's office, Monoma had already added him to a group chat. Was Izuku making friends? He didn't have time to worry about that. He had to go to a meeting with Nezu. Wouldn't do to keep the rat overlord, and Aizawa was fond words, waiting after all. So that was the end of chapter 11. Damn, we're not even halfway. What does my life come to? I don't know, but have I left kudos on this? Damn it. Oh, that's too bad. I hope you're having a good day or night, Sunrise. This is gonna come out a little later than I probably accepted my therapy today. I kind of forgot about that. Tomorrow I'd rather be a walking metamorphosis and maybe another Shigaraki. Or this one. I haven't decided yet. That's if I can stay focused, because I make a schedule for myself, but then I don't stick to it. Like I say, after school, I record a video and study for like a test or something like I did today, but I recorded Izuku Shigaraki. I was going to record this one earlier, like way earlier. Got distracted. Had therapy, came home, made dinner, took a shower. I read for like 20 minutes or 10 minutes, and now I'm finally doing this. That's all I have to say. I'm going to try to get at least 2 videos out a day. Don't quote me on that. Don't, because I'm not going to, yeah. But anyhow, I hope you're having a good night or day. Link is always down in the description. Comments and kudos if you're like this. There's 103 chapters. I really need to work on Walking Metamorphosis because I'm only in chapter 3 and there's like 100 and something chapters on that one too. But anyway, I hope you're having a good day, my sunrays, and I will see you all next time.